Right, so we are in 4 seconds live. You just check this audio is here as well. Let's see here. It seems to be a little bit quiet. 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 Seems to be. Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right. So today we're going to be going over Tsubaki Sakumura. And this is a piece by Fukuda Rando, and it's one that I teach a lot, and I really enjoy teaching. I enjoy playing it. It's a really fun piece. So let's just get into it right away with this piece. So here is the music for it. We're just going to go through it. You can buy a copy of this music online, so you have one. I highly recommend having not only just the Shakuhachi part, but also having a copy of the koto part, or at least being familiar with it, listening to lots of recordings so you know what the koto player is doing. Anytime when you're playing a duet or any sort of chamber music, knowing the other person's part is just as important as knowing your own. So, starting at the beginning of this piece, let's just look quickly at the form of this piece. So this piece is built into 3 parts. We have the opening section here with also the main theme. So it's divided into 2 sections. We have this kind of, we'll call this like our melancholy melody, and here's where it returns, and then we have kind of a little bit of a contrasting section within this little section. Then we have a slight tempo change and different theme, and then we return back to our melancholy melody here and back there as well. This is just a repeat from the beginning of the piece. So the form of this piece is quite simple, just an ABA. Now, starting with this piece, we have to look at this word right here, which is samishiku. And so samishiku means to be lonely. And I had read that the tsubaki has a special meaning when it's read, which means that somebody has died. And so I have my image of this piece for me is actually quite sad. It's the first 2 lines of this piece is it's somebody who's longing for somebody to return home, and they're not sure if they're going to come back or not. Then the 3rd line is the overwhelming emotions coming out of uncertainty. The 4th line is a kind of settling down and returning back to that loneliness and that kind of sabishi sort of feeling. Then the 2 middle lines here, in this part of the piece here, this here is is what I kind of see as like the battle scene, and I do something a little bit different here that's not written in the music, and then the person obviously doesn't make it out, and it goes back to this loneliness and this still waiting to hear back. And this is obviously a time before instant messenger and instant communication, so the person doesn't find out in this piece. So how do we go about to create some of those images? Well, the first thing is, let's get some of the notes out. So in the beginning we have this ro, tsumeri ro, and the beat is just 1, 3, and 4. Ro, tsu, ro, ri, ro, tsu, re, chi, re, ro, re, tsu, re, ro, ri, ro. So in this piece here, I think in this first beginning section, these first 2 lines, I wouldn't break mezzo forte. And mezzo forte means moderately loud. I wouldn't get any more than that. And I only take 1 breath, which is that after the lo, tsu, do breath. Here I do something. I stop the breath. I stop the sound for a moment, but I don't take it. I don't inhale, and then I continue. So I picked up that technique from Shomyo, the liturgical chanting, where they actually stop the breath for a brief moment and then they continue the phrase going on. And I think that it's really effective in this piece. So that's the first line. Now let's take a look at the second line of music. Starting on this rimeri, the rhythm is the same as the first line. So you have this rimeri, lo, li. Li, chi, di, re, ro, re, chi, de. Su, de, du, do. Ooh, that's a hard one. Su, de, tu, do. De, su, de, tu, do. Di, do. Here it is on the flute. And so let's take a minute just to talk a little bit about the phrasing of this and what makes this piece a really great learning piece. Is that in this first line here, what we have to do is we have to find a way to create this swelling sound, right, where the music gets louder and then gets softer. However, our only real tool that we have is going to be vibrato. So, lo, tu, lo, really invigorating with that energy and putting a lot of emphasis on that su. That's where the tension is. Same thing in this line here. This li, lo, ri. That's where the height goes. So we want to add that. Then, even on something like here, these long melodic lines, when I picked this up from a violin player at the Cleveland Institute of Music, when you have a lot of eighth notes in the run, the way to really make them sing and make them become even more musical is to add 2 wiggles on every single one. So, and that just helps connect them all together. Okay, so those are the first 2 lines. Now, when we get to this third line, there's a little bit of a different rhythm here. So we have this 1 and 3 la li, 4 la li, 1, 3, 1, and 3 la li, 4 la li, 1, and then a quintuplet, digga digga da, and then we land on that 3. Here on this little ending here as well, this can be a little bit more free because the harpist and the koto or pianist or the koto player will wait for you as you do this little line, and they can line up with you on that row. But don't take too much time and take too much liberties there. But anyways, so let's take on this section here. I'm trying to stay on topic here. This new triplet rhythm is also in a higher register of the flute. And so this is where we can kind of change the emotion. This is where we want to go forte. This is where we want to give more sound. And then we have this mark right here, which is a fermata, which means to hold the sound. How long you'll hold the sound is up to you. We just want to extend it and hold it so we can feel like all of that energy that we just gave out into the piece, all the things that we added into there, has a chance to cool down before we continue on into the next phrase, which is the same as the opening. And that is the end of the first section. So let's put this all together really quickly, starting from this first line, going all the way to the fourth line, and feel free to play along as well. 3, 4. More. And I actually find it to be quite musically effective to lengthen this chi just a little bit longer before we go into the next section of music. So what I do differently in this next section of music is that I actually tongue every single note. And the reason why I do that is because it goes slightly faster, and when I performed this with both piano and both harp, they have a lot of block chords. So all these chords are moving together at the same time. So they'll have like 4 or 5 notes being played, and all those 4 or 5 notes move at the same time. So it has this heaviness. And so when you tongue the notes on top of that, it really matches nicely when playing with koto, or not with koto. It does work with koto as well, but it works really well with harp and piano. So also in my opinion, for tonguing, I think in shakuhachi it should be very heavy. So using a tu sound. Now here on this tsumeri, I don't use the regular fingering for this note because it feels so out of context. So I use a different fingering, which is this fingering here. 1, 2, and 3 closed, 4 and 5 are open. And you need to be out in a little bit of the kari position, raising the pitch up, because that's just a row. So going slightly in that kari position will give you that E flat pitch. So one more time, the first line here. So let's break this down just a little bit and what's happening here. So the opening here is just very easy, 1 and 3. You have 2 half notes here. Lo, tsu, lo, tsu, do, re, chi, ri, do, tsu, lo, tsu, do, re, chi, sanu, ro, lo, tsu, lo, ri, chi, re, chi, lo, lo. Then here slowing down because we're going to be going back to the original tempo. Li, chi, le, chi, ri, lo, tsu, lo. And then you play the opening again. Another thing here to take a look at is the notation here for this ro and this tsu. Normally what we would see here for this rhythm is instead of that little circle there, we'd actually see a triangle, which is more commonly written, and that's that dotted rhythm. So that's to be a dotted 8th note 16th in Western notation. That's that bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba bum. And that also happens here as well on this tsu in this row. Okay. So that puts that all of that together on that section. Then here when we go back, it is the exact same music that we played in the opening. Now, another thing that I change in this piece is the ending, these last 2 notes. So I don't play a sano and E. What I actually do is I play a hi meri. That was a beautiful hi. Let me use my mouse here. Hi meri, and then I use a gonoha. Wow, that's a really good writing there. So at the end, instead of getting this, which is kind of like this, for me it kind of sounds like I'm done, and then that's it, and then the piece is over. Rather, I'd want to end it on a question mark, so that himeri, I can remain soft. So here's the last line in its entirety. And then that way it can fade off really nicely, and it's still like the story continues without the music continuing to go on. Okay, so that is this piece in a nutshell. It's very difficult to pull it off musically. So let's see if there's any questions about that. I had all right. No, we're good. So fantastic. If you do have any questions about this piece, go ahead and just leave that in a comment below. I think right now it's like 4 a.m. in America. Yeah, I don't expect a lot of comments to be showing up at 4 a.m. there is a recording of this piece I have in on my YouTube channel as well, so you can just go to the Fukuda Rando playlist, and then you can watch the piece there. Again, I hope that this helped you if you're learning this piece or working on it right now. I really hope that this tutorial helps you with some different ideas, and let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to learn, or another type of piece, or some kind of technique that you're struggling with. Just leave a comment below, and I will see you guys next time.